Ultimately, Minister, this is about decency. It's about giving people who are working full-time a wage upon which they can live. It's very simple. I was very interested by your closing remarks, where you said not alone were you not opposing the bill, which we welcome, but in this House that actually doesn't really mean much anymore. When you and I first came in, it actually meant something. But now there's so many bills gone off into Netherlands, it doesn't matter. But I was more interested by how you concluded, where you said that the report is with the Taoiseach and he will be publishing it soon. It's being considered. But that, paraphrasing you now, but it wasn't a million miles away from, this bill wasn't a million miles away from your thinking. Well, I hope that is true, because it's desperately needed, given the inflationary pressures that are there now. And furthermore, on top of that, it's needed quickly. So what I would ask, based on your honest summation at the end, is that not alone is it published and brought to Cabinet, but also that it is acted on. And acted on, if you're going to bring forward legislation similar to our legislation, we're not going to be precious about it. We will engage constructively based on our beliefs, based on our legislation, based on what we have done, and are working with all the partners, which we, as you know, we always do, to bring that forward and put it in place as quickly as possible over a time frame that is, respectable. Because we support wage rises across the economy in line with the cost of inflation, because profit margins are being protected, but living standards simply are not. Three other things. There must be negotiated pay rises for workers across society. And those who say that shouldn't happen aren't living in the real world, or aren't being fair. Profits can't just be protected and wages suffer. We also need to change our laws to protect workers organising in the workplace, to allow them to make the case to their employers for those pay rises and better terms and conditions. And we have a long way to go on that, and it's something that's core to our party. And thirdly, Minister, in relation to our submission to the Low Pay Commission, and this is something I'm quite passionate about, I think collectively it's immoral how we treat the wages of young people. To be paying 70%, 80%, 90% of the minimum wage to people who are working in all various different service industries, the hospitality industry especially, I think is wrong. I think we have to change it. I think there is exploitation going on out there. I think some people have been treated very, very badly, and I have many cases, and we have many cases of that ourselves. Whether it needs to be looked at as regards minimum amount of hours they can work versus the actual rate of pay. But certainly, two people side by side, a couple of years difference, the idea that this is pocket money is no longer the case. There shouldn't be such a differential between how one person is paid because they're 17 or 18 versus somebody who's 21 or 22. So, getting back to our bill, Minister, we believe a living wage, as defined as meaning an annual wage that, in the opinion of the Commission, if paid to a single adult person living alone in a full-time employment, would afford them a standard of living that meets the physical, psychological and social needs of the recipient. This bill will transform the Low Pay Commission, introduced by my colleague Jed Nash, into a Living Wage Commission, and provided with a timeline of 3 years to increase the minimum wage into a real living wage. This would be a living wage that takes into account all costs, like groceries, rent, heating, and all forms of living, and would be evidence-based and grounded in social consensus. In principle, colleagues, what the living wage that we're proposing, which I hope you will support based on your comments, is it would be an income floor by which people could live. And central to the bill is that the provision that the living wage must not be less than 2/3 of annual median earnings, based on CSO statistics. I began by saying that this is about decency. We can't just say that it is acceptable the way in which we are paying people, given the inflationary pressures. We can't camouflage everything just with social welfare and taxation, Minister.
Thank you, Deputy.
We need to bring in the living wage. We will work with you, but time is of the essence. Thank you.